Hello everyone, welcome to Snap Take. Sanctum Showdown is live and this mode is a blast. Turns out they nerfed enough to really shake things up. We have a whole bunch of new decks for you, a whole bunch of new things to try out. Let's get through them today on Snap Judgments. All right, so our first, oopsie, there we go. What you can find here. So we've got the top performing decks based on the meta. That's 5 decks. And then we've got some really high win rate, really cool off meta stuff from some of our friends. We're going to talk about replacements. We're going to do so much more as we do every day here on Snap Judgments. Make sure you hit that sub, leave a like, and leave a comment if you're willing to help support this channel as we do our very best to bring you the very, very best Marvel Snap content. Sub, like, comment. And you could also win in the process a Zombie Scarlet Witch, newly buffed to 3/4 is Zombie Scarlet Witch. You can win her for free. We're giving away 2 of her this week. All you have to do is sub, like, and comment. There'll be a specific question later. You answer that question, you're entered to win the Zombie Scarlet Witch. We announce it in community posts at the end of the week. All right, so the first deck we're going to look at has a 76% win rate in 50 games. There's about 18 different versions of this. Shadow King's not showing updated. He's a 3/4 now. It takes a little bit for the cache to update for the new cards after the OTA. Sorry about that. But this list, various versions of this list are absolutely crushing. Sometimes we're running Enchantress, sometimes we're running Galactus, sometimes we're running whatever, but the class of the meta. Like, it feels like 2 out of every 3 games, you're going to be playing a Scar Idiots deck with something that's just trying to drop a million huge points on you. And I don't know how, but it feels like when I'm playing against it, it has Sauron every game. This deck is incredibly powerful, incredibly consistent. The needed card for this list is Scar. You would really generally like a card like Ares. You can fit in Crossbones, right? But you only really need Scar. Outside of that, you can sort of mix and match what you want from lower series stuff. Gladiator could easily be a Cosmo, an Armor. Even just, there's a version that I'm messed with that's running a Maximus to go with its 0. That kind of thing is perfectly viable. Again, as long as you have Scar, you can sort of make this happen. Starbrand is a card you really want for this list. Starbrand being the only 3/10 in the game is generally huge, but it is not a requirement. If you are keeping Gladiator and you own Awesome Andy, I strongly urge you to add that Awesome Andy. Turning Gladiator into a 10 power card to make Scar cheaper is an absolute win condition for this deck. This one's a monster. I don't know what else to say. This is one of the better decks around. Again, don't feel like you have to be wedded to this because it has the highest win rate. There's like 10 different versions of this, all floating around the top of the win rate leaderboard. This is the only one we're looking at because it's the one with the highest win rate. Next up, in 50 games at 74% win rate, we have a Galactus First Steps Darkhawk Ronin list. This one is really cool, right? You're putting up a decent amount of early points with your Bobs, your Black Hat, so on. What you're really going to be able to do, though, is you're going to be able to do things like copy Darkhawk, copy Ronin, copy Cassandra Nova with that Prodigy. You're going to be able to have cards that are bigger than they should be because Viv Vision is really solid in this mode. And then because you have so much early power from Lizard, from Cassandra, from Prodigying the right thing, from Black Hat, from Bob, you're going to have this giant Galactus. This deck just puts up points. It does not have the best matchup into that previous Scar list. Outside of that, I think this was kind of a monster. It's got very few bad matchups. Most decks really hate drawing rocks in this mode, and this deck is an excellent way to really do that. You do need Darkhawk, Terrax, Prodigy, Viv, Cassandra, and Galactus for this list, which is basically every high series thing but Hydra Bob. Hydra Bob can be sort of any effective one drop that you're inclined to run. I think Iceman's fairly severely underrated here, but pick your poison. This is, however, a fairly expensive deck. Actually, I guess Prodigy is not needed. Prodigy can reasonably be Mystique. You lose the Cassandra Nova interaction, but instead you get a Darkhawk or Ronin interaction in a different lane, which might actually be better. As a matter of fact, upon further consideration, I think this deck probably actually wants to find a space for Mystique. However, either which way, this is a very cool and very powerful list that I again urge you to give some play to. I think that this is very fun if you happen to own Darkhawk, Ronin, Viv, and Cassandra, and Galactus. So like that seems expensive, right? So Terrax and Darkhawk are Series 4. Cassandra is a card you could have gotten free a million years ago and has been meta for long enough that you should probably own her. And then Viv and Galactus are recent season passes. So if you buy the season pass and collect your Series 4, you should have access to this list. Next up, we've got, yeah, that's right. Even before the OTA, this one was already picking up numbers. Right now, I've been playing this and I feel unfreaking beatable. This is the main deck I am playing right now in this mode. I'm able to mess with the Scar decks. I'm able to do all sorts of dumb stuff. just by putting up sheer points in this deck, Zombie Giant Man gets huge. In this deck, Clea's skills are absolutely insane. This is such a powerful list. I'm dying to fit Merlin. Where I guess I can't fit Werewolf. I want to play this on ladder, but I would very much like to fit like a Merlin Werewolf here. This deck puts up so many points, and it doesn't take up a lot of board space to do so, which is really, really important in the Sanctum mode. If you get a zombie Scarlet Witch and then you play a Mr. Fantastic, that's a 4 power thingy-majig. Then you can make it give it 3 more and make it a 3 more would make it a 7, except now it's Zombie Scarlet Witch, so now it's a 9. And then if you can play a Kitty Pryde there, now all of a sudden you've got an 11, right? And now that it's 11, your Zombie Giant Man that's going to give it +2 more, it's a 13, is going to be a 16 power card. It's not actually all that hard to do. You don't even really need the Zombie Mr. Fantastic, to be totally honest. But remember, the Zombie Mr. Fantastic's buff will, for the Horde, will buff Zombie Giant Man. I think that this is a real package now. I don't think this can compete on ladder with the very best things. Like the best ongoing decks are just going to go over the top of this. A lot of the best decks are just going to be too tall for this. The best move decks, this doesn't have any real answers unless Clea gets real, real hot. But if anyone's playing anything mid-range still, this has the real points to compete, especially with the Shadow King nerf. I understand that a lot of you are trying to get the Hunger, and I don't think you can really play this without the Hunger. Before I had the Hunger, I was playing Nightcrawler in here, and it did not feel good. But if you don't have Hydra Bob, feel free to place it with Nightcrawler. I do think you need all the zombie cards. I do think you need Marvel Boy. Herbie is excellent. So is Surge. Neither one of those is remotely needed. I don't even actually like Surge very much. Feel free to mix and match Surge as you so choose with, I think, probably Merlin nowadays. Probably Merlin, but it could be any solid 2-drop that you can think of. I'm partial to Mercury because there's a lot of move in this mode, and being able to shut that off is very powerful. Herbie is really good. It can buff Clea. It can get reasonably big. It can make a rock to be buffed by Zombie Mr. Fantastic. It's just got some real value here. And that rock also makes Mockingbird cheaper. Again, Merlin, fine. Any good 3-drop, fine, right? Like if you feel like running a Stegron here, no one's going to be too upset. Herbie and Surge are nice cards here, but not remotely required. I think all the other high series stuff is, though. This is reasonably expensive, but this Season Pass archetype is also really, really good in this mode. I'm, again, not convinced on ladder, but 74% win rate in 100 games is fairly freaking good. Next up, at a 73% win rate in 60 games, this is sort of a takeoff of the winner of Cougar's deck that won the most recent Golden Gauntlet. It can't run Juggernaut and it can't run Cannonball, so instead it's running Stegron and Vision, and it threw in a Star-Lord because Star-Lord's so good in this mode, and it still wins a lot of games. It's just that simple. Everyone's running about a lot of powerful 1-drops, so Electra's a really, really great card in this mode. Hydra Stomper gets big, Stegron clogs the opponent. All around, this is very good. I think we could even go further and find room for a Polaris, but like the 1/6 miles, this is an incredibly strong and consistent list that counters a lot of the meta. The card that is least important here of the high series stuff is Mercury, who can be kind of anything you're so inclined to do, as could kind of Hydra Bob. I would try and stick with one more 2-drop. I'm partial to Spider-Man. If you're so inclined to do so, Hydra Bob can also be any other random 1-drop. I'm partial to Nebula. Nebula feels very, very frustrating to play against in this mode. The other high series stuff, your Sam Wilsons, your Bat Rocks, and your Hydra Stompers aren't needed for this list. Vision might also want to be Arrow. I think Vision's better, but either one is fine. All right, a 69% win rate in 140 games is Zoo. You don't need Bob for Zoo. You don't necessarily need Marvel Boy, though he really helps. You do need, actually, I guess you don't need Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh can be Iron Man. This is probably the best budget deck. If you don't have Hydra Bob, run an Iceman, run an Ant-Man. If you don't have Marvel Boy, pick your poison for a 3-drop. I think Bishop is reasonably solid here. I wouldn't hate a Zombie Scarlet Witch, anything along those lines. And then, of course, Gilgamesh can usually be Iron Man because Gilgamesh's job is to go over the top in a lane, a job that Iron Man does reasonably well. Outside of that, this is just a pure points package. It puts a lot of pressure on every lane, and thus is very hard to beat for a lot of opponents. I think Zoo remains probably the best overall deck outside of the Scar deck in this mode, while the other stuff is really cool with a really high win rate. Zoo just has the consistent power output that makes it really hard to beat. That super cheap Mockingbird is an absolute monster in this mode. That it's a clogged lane, Blue Marvel plus Marvel Boy is a really, really powerful effect. There's a lot of stuff like that this deck does in order to make sure it wins. I don't think the Miles is needed, by the way. Miles is nice because you have Hydra Bob, and that's kind of it, right? Oh, Yeah, because you have Hydra Bob and other people are moving stuff, feel free to make Miles literally any card. I'm partial to Shang-Chi if you're so inclined. Has been very good as a mess with in this mode, but you can play anything Juggernaut Negasonic. Again, you don't have to feel obligated to play anything in particular, but this deck does put up enough points to be one of the very, very best that you could possibly play. And from our top win rate decks, now we are on to some of our friends' decks. Our wonderful friend Interrobang, the great Interrobang of Twitter fame. He runs the Marvel Snap Twitter community and he streams every night, late at night, Eastern time zone at least, very late at night, like 12, 1 in the morning. He played a move deck. I've played this move deck. This is what I was most successful with. This is on my way to getting the hunger. Before the OTA, I played largely this list. He got the hunger day one with this list. It is very strong, very consistent. Human Torch is just very, very, very hard to beat in this. If you can get a Human Torch Mana Web, a Human Torch Sparky going, like you get like a 12 power Human Torch that probably wins one lane. You Sparky it back, and now you've got like a 20 whatever power Human Torch, and then that's likely to win another lane, and then the game's probably over. Assuming you were snapping these things, it's gross. It's super strong. The dagger and the vulture are nice, but what you're really trying to do is torch stuff and then a bit of Stegron stuff. I love this list. I think this is my favorite list that is not seeing a lot of play right now. That's why it's leading off the Our Friends and Such section of this video. As we continue, we have Aurorum Sanctum. Aurorum played this ridiculously fun list that, oh, sorry. I didn't do any replacements here. Aranya here is relatively good. It can just be Cloak. You lose a bit, but not too much. I do think you want Sparky, Hellion, and Madam Web for the list, though. Sorry about that. All right, next up, Aurorum Sanctum. Okay, so this is a Dormammu Sanctum deck, which is the coolest thing in the world. Killmonger is amazing because everyone's running 1,001s. You have a ton of stuff to destroy. You have Moira to double up your Dormammu spells. Yes, it will double up the first Dormammu spell to give him more to eat. You've got Null because you can blow up whatever you want, and then Null is stupidly huge. Cheap power and death. This one is gross, gross, gross. I love this list. Props to Aurorum for it. I do think you probably need like you could try Nova, I guess, over Moira or Uncle Ben. You can try I'm not even sure Headpool, I guess. But like you need things that destroy and stay in the destroy pile. Maybe a Nico. It's really hard to replace Mario and Uncle Ben. I think you can, but I wouldn't bet $1 billion on it. You could also just run classic destroy, but Dormammu gives you a lot of extra power here, an extra way to destroy things, an extra way to take power off opponents that they're not expecting. So I think you really, really, really want X23, and you really want Dormammu for this list. But outside of that, I think you should be able to mix and match some decent destroy ones in those spots without too much trouble. I almost said replacement for Null, but Null is Series 3. Again, a huge Null is just bigger than anything, and there's not a lot of Shang or Enchantress, so you should be able to win a lot of games. Next up, Crazy, former multiple-time #1 player. Crazy is playing Arisham, and this is quite the wild Arisham list. Hey, want to get your weekend missions done? Here's a zombie Mr. Fantastic. Why is he here? Well, because he plays as a 2/8 in this list. Arisham will have generated cards. Therefore, zombie Mr. Fantastic is pretty damn good. Does that make him better than even a Cable or like an Iron Patriot here? No. Any of Merlin, Valentina, Zombie, Mr. Fantastic can be Quinjet, Cable, Iron Patriot, any of those good 2-drops. You do want to make sure you're running some extra low-cost stuff as opposed to regular Arisham because you do need early plays for sure in this mode. Mobius is a decent counter. There's just enough Mockingbird stuff floating around. There's enough Scar stuff floating around that it's good. There's enough big stuff for Shang-Chi. Galacta gives you some nice buffs. Always really great in this mode. She is the best 4 for Arisham decks. I do think she's basically required. Cosmic Ghost Rider is a nice counter card. Feel free to run Legion or Cannonball. Oh, no, Cannonball's bad. Legion or Hellion or whatever else you're inclined to. Enchantress says, I don't deal with ongoing. Elias says, I don't deal with any of your BS. You are going to need Mockingbird. I think if you don't have Eliath, you should be fine with Blob. I know that's another high series card, but you should be. And outside of that, this is just a pure points package that basically counters opponents. It's doing what Arisham do. It's saying you can't play here. You can't play with me. I'm going to stop your stuff with something like some stupid combo that you're not ready for, which is some stupid counter that you're not ready for. And that way it is able to win an awful lot of frustrating games of Marvel Snap. Next up, we got Sko Sanctum. This is our friend Scott Denham of Snap Fan. Hi, Scott. Sorry I didn't get back to you, my friend, about that article. Our 24 hour time, or sorry, 12-hour time difference is a pain in the ass. This one is sort of a mix of this is like what Sanctum good stuff looks like this time, right? We've got some lovely Galactus first steps. We've got Crossbones because we want to get ahead, stay ahead. We've got Star-Lord and Groot because those are the Guardians we can still play. We've got Copycat because everyone's playing good cards. Iron Patriot gives us a cheap thing. Grandmaster lets us re-hit one of our Guardians or Iron Patriot. Hydration Robert is just good power. Black Hat is just good power. Mercury is a good counter. Gladiator is a little dangerous. I like Gladiator less than I did on day one of the mode. I would replace that probably with another three. Quite what that three is, I'm not 1,000% sure. They have nerfed almost every good three into being a 4 cost or into being bad. So I'm not 1,000% sure what we're supposed to do as a 3-drop slot. 3-drop slot I feel like has never been weaker in Marvel Snap than right now. However, if you're so inclined to run it, you can always try like a Baron Zemo. I know that's again another high series card. Just all the good threes are sort of high series, which makes it really, really challenging. Hydra Bob is as always replaceable with an Iceman and Nebula, whatever you want. Mercury is very good here, but again, any good 2-drop is perfectly fine. I do think you want Iron Patriot and Galactus, 2 former season pass cards. But everything else here, sorry, cat hair. Everything else here, more or less, is just sort of replaceable. Just pick whatever you think the best card in the mode is and stick it in that slot, and you should be totally fine to go. That's what this deck does. It abuses the Iron Patriot and Galactus and then says, I'm going to run some Guardians and some good stuff. Finally, we have Vortex. I don't know Vortex. I found this deck on Twitter, but I know that every Sanctum before this one, my main deck has been, or both Sanctums, not every, it's not like there were 15, there were 2. My main deck in Sanctum has always been an Affliction deck. People don't run Luke Cage, and Affliction puts up a ton of points. So I really, really love Affliction in this mode. I think it is severely slept on. It still does all the point things. It still has US Agent and such to ruin the Scar decks. Hazmat to turn all the 4-10s into 4-9s. With Diamondback is going to win games. Your Lizards are great. If you want to just make a Hydra Bob a Scorpion, you'll be fine. I do think you want US Agent, Laufey, Man-Thing, Anti-Venom here. Diamondback, Ajax. It's an expensive list, but I think that people have decided to sleep on Affliction, and they're very, very wrong to do so. This deck is incredible. Play it. That's it. That's 10 decks. I hope you found something that you can play in order to get the hunger, in order to grab all those goodies in the mode. Come check me out on twitch.tv/PulseGlazer. This should be live right as our podcast goes live. We'll be recording with Ika and with Toxic Soul King to go over all the data mines. So if you want to check it out, please do so. Also, please check out the if you want to win the season pass, what are you playing right now in Sanctum? What deck are you into and how's it doing for you? We have a Patreon, certain tiers of support come with on-air thanks. I'm going to say thank you to Acular. Wait, this is really old. Holy crap. This is like 6-month-old Patreon thanks. So we are not going to thank these patrons except Ocularis, who we are going to welcome back to our dear friend. We're also going to say thank you to Gunny T, where the T stands for Snap Judgments, baby. Come check out the podcast on Twitch, twitch.tv/PulseGlazer. I don't think you'll be sad, and I'll see you there. Peace.